Activists in eastern Aleppo are accusing regime-backed militias of executing civilians as the battle for the city enters its final stages. Regime forces are now in control of most of eastern Aleppo, which has been in the control of rebels for the past 4 years. Monitors say that at least 80 people, including 4 women and 9 children, have reportedly been shot dead or burned alive. Lina Shami is an activist from Aleppo.
To everyone who can hear me, we are here exposed to a genocide in the besieged city of Aleppo. This may be my last video. More than 50,000 of civilians who rebelled against the dictator al-Assad are threatened with field executions or dying under bombing. People have been field executed in the areas that regime have recently took control on by Assad gangs and the militias that support them. The civilians are stuck in a very small area that doesn't exceed 2 square kilometers, with no safe zone, no life. Every bomb is a new massacre. Save Aleppo, save humanity.
Well, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has voiced his concerns. His spokesman said that the Secretary General is alarmed over reports of atrocities against a large number of civilians, including women and children. While stressing that the United Nations is not able to independently verify these reports, the Secretary General is conveying his grave concern to the relevant parties. Let's go straight to our correspondent Ediz Tiyansan, who is live for us in Gaziantep on the border between Turkey and Syria. Ediz, what more can you tell us about these reports of atrocities being committed by regime forces?
Well, as you know, it's always been very difficult to establish facts on the ground in Syria, but particularly at sensitive and critical times like these, it has been particularly tough. But we are getting various accounts from several witnesses and activists on the ground, reports of both Syrian regime troops and their allied Shia militia entering some of the neighborhoods and carrying out arbitrary executions. And we knew all along that the people, the civilians of Aleppo, have really faced the worst burden of this war. Just in the past 27 days, 990 people have been killed. Now, many of them due to the indirect consequences of the fighting, or rather sometimes direct airstrikes or ground shelling. But at this case, witnesses are actually talking about fire squads in the neighborhoods that have been newly captured by regime forces. And what's most worrying probably is that they are also talking about dozens of bodies lying on the streets on some of these certain neighborhoods. And among them, we're hearing that there are also children and women. As I've said, we can also, we also cannot independently verify these reports or the exact numbers, but we're getting many reports from multiple activists and witnesses that executions have been carried out in multiple neighborhoods. And as you've just heard, these reports have also been picked up by the United Nations. The General Secretary just relayed his gravest concern. And we've also heard from the humanitarian advisor, Jan Egeland, saying that Russia and the Syrian regime, Bashar al-Assad, will be held responsible for any and all of the atrocities that may be committed in eastern Aleppo right now.
These things continue to get worse. I mean, how close is the regime to fully capturing the whole of Aleppo city?
Well, we were hearing from regime military sources on Monday that it was a matter of time for them to declare victory in eastern Aleppo. And that wouldn't be surprising, really. They've captured most of the major towns, including the Al-Zabdiya neighborhood, the Bustan al-Kassar, Sheikh Said. And these are some of the major districts that the rebel groups were able to hold on to still in the past couple of days, but that are now in the regime hands. Now, as of Monday, the Syrian Observatory also reported that the rebel groups had withdrawn from most of the remaining neighborhoods. We were told by the opposition on the same day that they are now trying to regroup somewhere else, an area called Al-Sukaria and its outskirts, in an attempt to gather their strength. So the opposition is telling us that they are still inside the city of Aleppo and that they will not surrender and continue to fight. But But frankly, as it seems on the ground, they are right now in a very disadvantaged position and seem to have very slim chances of ever getting the city again. And what's most concerning still is the situation of close to 100,000 civilians who are still stuck in that enclave and that are desperately needing a safe passage out.
Okay, Ediz Tiyansan describing the very dire situation in eastern Aleppo. Many thanks.